glitches, errors, bugs. The bane of gamers worldwide. If there's one thing you can hope for going into a new video game, it's that it works. That the game you're playing isn't held together by toilet paper and Scooby-Doo band-aids, because despite that actually sounding pretty cool, in practice, shambling amalgamates of unrealized potential and rushed development don't have a good track record for being fun. So, if you're anything like me, that can be kinda counterintuitive when the number one reason you play video games to begin with is to have fun. And when I gotta put up with this crap every 10 minutes, the only thing getting halved is my life expectancy. Imagine this, you're playing Gorilla Rampage Simulator, as you often do, and Jesus, all of a sudden this ear-shattering noise starts playing over everything. So, let's get it fixed, huh? We're gonna search the internet here, and nobody else has this problem, okay. How about the settings? Okay, no dice. Hell, I even went ahead and uninstalled the game and it still didn't fix it, so what do we do? I'll tell you what I did, I was shit out of luck. I just had to take the L and never play the game again. And, hey, you ask me? I'd rather nobody else have to go through feeling like they got gaslit by Gorilla Hotline Miami. Of course, I don't need to tell you that games are a hell of a lot better when they actually work, but at the same time, if every glitch got patched the second someone found out about it, what would, say, a Breath of the Wild speedrun look like? No, please. Contain your excitement. Feels weird to say, but maybe, sometimes, glitches can actually make games a little bit better. Maybe a lot better. I wouldn't even want to imagine a world where you can't civilian pose in TF2, and sure, it's just some stupid source bug, I shouldn't get too attached to it. After all, it's not even a real feature of the game. But, in a weird way, it sort of is, right? It's just as funny and stupid as everything else in TF2, hell. Look at all the memes and animations and just dumb fun that people have had from this one unpatched coding error, and at that point, who's to say it's not a feature? Heck, if you ask me, breaking your character model and playing bit-crunched music out of your Walmart headset is just as much a part of the TF2 experience as actually playing TF2. That's what separates this from all of this. That's why video games need glitches. Alright, now we're getting somewhere. Glitches got a whole lot more going on than just game crashes and memory leaks, and to get a good taste of that, we're gonna have to go straight down to the dank-ass pits of development hell and talk about Gollum Game. When this thing got announced, it was a laughingstock. Why the hell would you make a game about the single worst character in Lord of the Rings? Then the first gameplay footage dropped, and people were amazed that a game could still look this bad. And when it came out, well, you know what, I can't even playfully sugarcoat it, cause holy god. People didn't just hate Gollum for being conceptually moronic, visually unappealing, fundamentally atrocious, and all around miserable. They hated it because it was boring. The color palette is gray, brown, and black. The whole thing takes place between a slimy-ass cave and the torment dimension. All Gollum can do is jump and get killed, and when you're not playing a tutorial that was probably half funded by the FBI to break war prisoners, you spend the entire game doing orc chores. There would be absolutely nothing of redeeming quality here without its glitches.
Oh my god, what is happening? It's because you turned the quality down.
Yeah, it's
that's
taking
rough.
Where the fuck am I going?
All of a sudden, people couldn't get enough of Gollum. And as a resident member of the fan club myself, I gotta ask all my fellow Gollumites out there, would there be anything of redeeming quality here if it weren't for the fact that this game being a bugged out puddle of congealed dog water is kinda funny? Yeah, that's what I thought. But wait, okay. If glitches can, in some weird way, save a completely terrible game, what can they do for a game that's actually fun? Boom, Bethesda. Fallout and Skyrim are two games I've always kinda kept my rugged primate finger pads away from. I hear they're great games, for the most part, but I never got a good impression from the fact they're kinda variably dysfunctional. I'd see these clips of bugged out blacksmiths and less than adequate voice editing.
Wait a minute, let me do that one again.
And I sorta got the impression the people working on this clearly don't care. But to their credit, these are jumbo-ass games, and yeah, maybe they could patch this shit a little, but in a weird way, it's kinda part of the charm at this point. It almost feels like it wouldn't be an early 2000 Bethesda RPG without broken walk animations, infinite money glitches, or putting pots over people's heads to rob them blind. It adds so much character to the experience, and whether these things are intentional or not, Does that change the fact that people love them? At this point, just own it. Glitches don't always pan out, but when we harness their volatile power, we get creepers, rocket jumping, and the ability to speedrun Donkey Kong 64 in a reasonable amount of time. And hey, the fact that anybody could find these sort of things out for themselves just gives buggier games a weird but alluring sense of spontaneity that, in some cases, keeps people going back and finding new ways to break them over and over again. I mentioned Breath of the Wild earlier and how you can skip the entire game, but I wouldn't be the first to tell you that's only the tip of the broken hitbox pyramid. Glitches and speedrunning go together like pelicans and being a dumbass piece of shit, and the most difficult part of chasing that perfect time is figuring out how to teleport through the entire map 2 seconds faster than your colleagues. In its own weird way, it's kind of an art form, and even if shoving a warpath through a game at the expense of all collective developer intent isn't exactly my style, I can't deny that anything still generating discussion around Wii Sports Resort deserves some sort of commendation. It's wild interesting to see all the crazy ass ways people turn a game upside down just to bring down their times, and if there's any reason I love watching these, it's to see how these diabolical masterminds completely dismantle the basic function of a game and build it back from the ground up. And whatever you call it, it sure ain't boring. I mean, take Mario 64 here. When I try and play it, it looks like this. Okay, now here's a speedrun from 12 years ago. And check it out, they ain't even gotta engage with the game's base mechanics, follow the steps of progression, or throw penguins off the map. They just go. This is basically a whole nother game at this point, and it always brings me to the question, isn't it kinda disrespectful using glitches to completely ignore the creator's intended gameplay? Hell no! People spend hours on days just learning how to do a backwards long jump, so can you imagine what kind of hell you gotta go through to learn this shit? That's taking the game's skill ceiling to a whole nother level than the developers ever could have intended. This isn't disrespect. This is appreciation. And the same thing goes for wave dashing, shield surfing, and shrine clipping. You don't flip a switch to glitch mode and sit back as the artistry of game design melts into a cold puddle of gray paint. If anything, it's the opposite of that needlessly complicated metaphor. Because the thing is, there's no wrong way to play a video game. Sure, there's a recommended way, but nobody's gonna stop you from devoting your time to crazy shit. Sometimes that crazy shit actually works, and now there's a new way to play the game. If you discover that you can prevent Terraria bosses from shooting bullets by spawning so many ducks that it overrides the entity cap, then spread the word and spawn some bird, cause now, duck strat is just as much a part of the game as anything else. What I'm saying is that video games are a collaborative experience. Killing dragons in Skyrim is part of Skyrim, but this meme I found on Google Images is also part of Skyrim. Video games aren't, and never have been, a concrete medium. Playing with glitches or mods or this thing doesn't make a game any less real, they just make your experience more unique. And whether glitches end up reinventing gameplay, saving commercial failures, or being dumbass fun for the sake of it, I couldn't be more happy to have them. With the exception of the gorilla thing, like I said, because that sucked.